What do you think separates the people that do achieve their goals from the people that don't? It's action, right? But it's not just taking action. It's taking organized and planned action. Maybe you're already used to setting yearly goals. Maybe you've actually already set them for 2025. But here's where the problem is. Let's say you've set a goal to run 10K in 2025, to save $40,000. Maybe it's to read 12 books. Most people will do the first part, which is set these goals. But then they fall into a trap, which is called set and forget. They set them and then they forget about them. Today, I want to introduce you guys to one thing that I implemented last year that I've actually already implemented this year for 2025, and I can already see noticeable action and progress towards the goals I set for 2025. It's the 12-week year goal setting. I'm going to teach it to you guys in 5 simple steps so that you can walk away from this episode and implement it and make sure that every single day you're taking action towards your goals, not just setting them and hoping that you achieve them, or setting them and having them in the back of your mind, but then life gets busy and you don't really take that intentional action towards it. And I'm also going to share a bonus tip at the end, which will actually help you maintain that momentum. So if you're someone that feels like in the past you've set goals, you are really inspired in January, February, March, and then life happens, it gets busy, things pull you in different directions, this one tip will also help you maintain that consistency so you don't fall off the wheel and you're consistent for the whole year in achieving exactly what you've set out to achieve. So let's break it down, the 12-week year goal setting system or plan. The basic idea is you want to take your yearly goal and divide it into 4. So the idea is that you have 4 12-week blocks, or some people might just refer to these as the yearly quarters, Q1, 2, 3, and 4. The point of doing this is we take what often feels like a massive goal, right? So say you have never run before and you want to run 10K this year. That can often feel so far away from where we are now. Or say you really want to become a reader and you want to be a bit more dedicated with your reading. You want to read 12 books this year. That feels really far from where we are now. If we zoom in a little bit and we say, okay, what is happening in every 12-week block? What we do is we start to paint the picture between where we are now and that end goal. So it no longer feels like this gap between, oh, we're here and we want to be over there, but we can actually see the steps. We start to bridge the distance between the two. And so achieving that goal no longer feels like this massive leap away from who and where we are right now, and more a string of steps that's going to logically take us 1% at a time to get to exactly where we want to go. So you can very, very simply implement your 12-week year plan in 5 simple steps. And to make this so much easier for you guys, I have made a free Excel document, which if you like, if you're a little bit corporate minded like me, I'm still kind of used to thinking about things in Excel spreadsheets. It doesn't look pretty, but it does the job and it's practical. I've put a link in the show notes. You can download that for free and you can use this template to implement your 12-week year plan. I'm going to use it as the basis to run through these steps with you. So the first thing you want to do, step 1, is to just write out all your goals. What are the things that you want to achieve for this year? Now, I have spoken to a lot of you, either in our Telegram chat one-on-one, through Instagram DMs. I've been speaking to you guys because I really wanted to gauge what are some of the things that you're working towards in 2025. The majority of you have self-development and personal goals. Of course, you have health and fitness and career-based goals, but the majority of you are self-development mindset and kind of just improving your overall well-being. So I've pulled out a few of those to use as working examples for today, and I've thrown in one of mine too. So the 3 examples we're going to work with are reaching 100K subscribers on YouTube, saving $40,000, and reading 12 books. So your step 1 would be to identify what are my goals and write them out. And these are the goals that you have for the entire year. That's the first tab of the 2025 goal tracker if you're following on the Excel document. Then we're going to move to the second tab, which is Q1, or the first 12-week block. What you want to do is basically take your goal and divide it by 4. So for example, saving $40,000 would look like saving $10,000. Reading 12 books would look like reading 3 books. Reaching 100,000 subscribers might look like reaching 25,000 subscribers. So your second step is to take the yearly goal, divide it by 4, which is the Q1 or the first 12 weeks. What this does is it gives you a smaller, actionable and something that's achievable for those first 12 weeks. You're not focusing on saving the full 40K or the 12 books. You're finding a portion of that that's going to help you start to make actionable progress towards those goals. So that's the second step. The third step is kind of entwined with this section. What I realized when I was writing these out is there's actually two types of goals. There's building goals and there's target goals. So I'll give you guys an example. A building goal is something like running the 10K or reaching 100K subscribers on YouTube. It's something that you actually need to maybe learn, upskill, research, experiment. You have to actually work different things out in order to get there. It's not as simple as I'm just going to do 25% this month, right? That might actually look really different. The full run of subscribers might come a little bit later in the year. So it's not as simple as I have this target and I'm going to hit it this quarter. A target goal, just as a quick comparison, is something like, I'm going to read the 12 books. And so in the first quarter, I'm going to read 3 books. That's a target, and it's something very actionable that you can reach if you plan your time properly. But the subscribers or running the 10K, it might be taking a little bit more prep. So the reason I want you to identify, looking at your goals, which ones are building goals and which ones are target goals, is because it helps with the next step, which is where you take those quarterly goals that you have identified as 25% or a quarter of your full yearly goal, and we're going to break it down into the months that comprise of that 12-week system. So on that spreadsheet, this is where we go to part 2, which is all about making the months within that 12-week block really actionable. If you guys are following along, I have put some examples in so you can see what I mean with the difference with the building and the target goals. So for example, if my goal is 25,000 subscribers on YouTube in the first 12-week plan, then the action steps or the things I'm working towards might look like researching other creators or small channel tips, learning about YouTube specific strategies or how to A/B test things, what apps I can use to track my progress, etc., etc. There might actually be quite a bit of R&D that needs to happen up front and experimentation versus, say, the saving money, right? That one, you can see quite simply saving $10,000 in month 1 of that 12-week block, or in the first 4 weeks. I know exactly when my salary is getting paid and I know exactly how much extra I'm going to have. So I can very clearly put a target goal in for the 3rd week of every month or the 3rd week of the 12-week block. I know I'm saving X amount of money. Same goes for the book, right? That's the 3rd one in the list I've put as examples. You just put at the start of every month in that 12-week block that you're going to start a new book. And if you start a new book at the first week of every month, then you're on track to hitting 12. So just to detail these out a little bit more, I think it's really important to identify, is it a building goal or is it a target goal? And that'll kind of help you plot things differently. You want to paint out what this first month of the 12-week block looks like. That is the first 4 weeks, effectively. You want to have targets or goals for each of those 4 weeks that correlate with the goals that you're trying to achieve. Think of these like mini steps or micro goals, right? To start with the month. And then the 5th and final step is you move on to the weeks, the specific weeks within that month. So we've got 4 weeks, and you should have identified that each of them have a specific intention, right? Or a specific target. I'm going to start with the building goal example of reaching 100K subscribers, because I feel that's going to require you to think a little bit deeper about what's involved for you to get there versus a target goal, which is quite straightforward. So for example, for those of you following along, in the weekly goal of week 1 of my 12-week plan, for 25K subscribers on YouTube, I've already identified in the monthly section that this week is going to be all about researching other YouTube channels and other small creators, right? I want to know, what have they done? What are they suggesting? What are they saying about growing on YouTube, about growing a subscriber base? Are there any specific YouTube strategies that I need to start learning about? My goal this first week is not to start, I need 5K subscribers, I need 2K subscribers. That's not how that's going to happen. There's a lot of building work that needs to be done, hence why this one is a building goal. So this week, you can see on my example, Monday is to make a list of creators and channels that I want to start to watch or listen to. Tuesday is to watch 6 to 8 of those videos and start to make notes. And then Thursday, I've got use those notes to build some focus points for the next week. The reason I haven't got like an overkill of tasks every day for this specific goal is because likely these things that you're working towards, they're not the only thing that you're working towards, right? They're probably in tandem with other goals, with other things that you're doing. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself, but you want to give yourself actionable things that you can do every single day that's going to help string you along and move towards the target you want. Compare that to the book, right? So we already said that in month 1, we need to start reading the first book, which effectively means we need to finish it within the first month if we're going to hit 12 over the year. So what does that look like for week 1? It looks like we're going to read 30 minutes every single night before we go to bed. That's the target every single day. It's something actionable we can do that we know if we do that every single day, we're gonna finish the book within 1 month. You might even finish it earlier, right? And then you have a bit of space and time before you start the next one, or you can roll it over and keep going. So that's kind of why I like to identify, is it a building goal or is it a target goal? Because it means the action plan you put in place looks super different. You'll notice for those of you following too, for example, in this week 1, there's nothing for the saving money goal because I know, for example, I get paid in week 3. So there's actually nothing for me to do at this point because I haven't been paid and I can't save that money yet, right? So really understanding the micro steps and how that looks in your week is so important for you to build a plan that shows you how you're going to get from where you are now to where you want to be or what you want to achieve. So just to quickly summarize the 5 steps. Number 1 is to write out all your goals. Number 2 is to divide those by 4 or to make them into quarterly goals. Number 3 is to work out which ones are building goals and which ones are target goals, because that's going to be really important for the 4th step, which is to break that down into monthly actionable goals. And then the 5th and final step is to start painting out your week. Right? So really look at what is involved in every week to achieve the things that you said are important or you need to do for the monthly goal, which feed into the quarterly goal, which feed into the yearly goal. This quick message is for anyone who has health and fitness goals in 2025. Now, when I in the past have set fitness goals, there are only 2 things that have helped me maintain consistency and actually achieve them. That is system and community. Now, you guys might recall Chantel Duncan, who was a guest on the show a couple weeks ago. She's the founder of an incredible app called Newform, which is an app not just for people to level up their physical fitness, but also their mindset and their confidence. They have a range of workouts from in-home to at the gym, which basically makes it a one-stop shop for workouts anywhere, anytime. The team at Newform and Chantel have kindly offered all our listeners a 7-day free trial. So if you're someone looking for that community or a system to really get you going and help you build that momentum for 2025, I highly recommend taking advantage of this really kind offer. You can head to the Apple Store or Google Play. I'll pop links in the show notes to both to take advantage of this free trial and make 2025 the year you achieve your health and fitness goals. Now let's get back into today's episode. Now, I promised you guys that I would give you a little bit of a bonus tip at the end. This is something I learned from trial and error last year. It might be very tempting to start doing this and want to go and plan out your whole year day by day, but I would really advise against that. I would even advise against doing every single month in the first 12 weeks all in one go. The reason is when you get started and you have these actionable goals, you might find you actually start moving a lot faster towards where you want to go. For example, you might find that in the first 2 weeks you finish a book. So then you have a choice, do you want to read another one, start reading the second one straight away, or do you want to give yourself a little bit of a break and start the next one in month 2? You might decide, hey, I'm on a roll, want to, read one every 2 weeks now, and that will change your goal moving forward. So what I found last year was I was kind of set on these yearly goals, but I started to exceed them a lot faster, which is such a great problem to have. But you don't want to get too fixed in where you were at the start of the year and what you envisioned for yourself, and then blocking or limiting your progress or where you can potentially take it. So what I would say to you is try and go month by month. Make it a practice at the end of every month in that last week. One of your actionables should be to sit down and paint the month later, to start looking at what that looks like, and be really aware of the fact that you actually might want to expand or extend some of those goals, not to limit yourself, right? You might really, really surprise yourself. One final thing I'll add here, and for those of you that are following the Excel checklist, you'll notice I've put in some blue boxes, right? They're like a highlighted blue color. These are your check-ins, right? So what I love doing, and I've put these in the monthly section, is little just moments to check in with myself. And these generally come kind of halfway through the planned block. So if I'm looking at the monthly plan, these kind of come in the third and fourth week. It's a way for me to check in and assess how I'm going. So for example, for the book reading, I've put in week 3, check in with myself to make sure I'm at least halfway through the book, because that would mean I'm on track to finish 1 for the month, which means I'm on track for 12 for the year. Another example is for saving the money. The week after I've been paid, I actually want to check that I've saved the amount that I want. I want to make sure that I have properly identified what my expenses are that month, and the amount that I have put as a goal to save is attainable, it's actionable, it's realistic, and I've actually been able to do it. Otherwise, I might need to change my goal. Or on the flip, maybe I've been able to save more, and that might mean, hey, do I want to extend my goal, make it 45,000 for the year, 48,000, 50,000, whatever it is. So also, I would highly recommend on the monthly block, when you're building that out, I would just put in some check-ins for half to 75% way through that time, so you can actually just check in and see how you're going. Again, if you guys want access to that Excel document, it's completely free. The link is in the show notes. Feel free to use it, change your colors, make it pretty, whatever you want to do to make it make sense for you. You can just use it as a base and pop it in your diary. I just wanted to give you guys something really actionable to follow, so it's quite clear to you how you're going to get to exactly where you want to be. Because I honestly think it's not even about some people just are able to achieve their goals and others aren't. I just think having a plan and making it practical, and for you to see the path between where you are now and where you want to go, that's the real difference between actually achieving what you want. So making this plan, doing the 1% every day, that's what's going to make the biggest difference. If you guys love this episode, there's actually something you want to consider before you kind of jump in and plan your 12 weeks out. Now, I want you guys to think about this even if you've already set your goals, because you want to make sure what you're going to be working towards every single day, what you're going to be spending time building out 12-week plans for, is something that is truly aligned for you. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes we set goals because we think that's what we want. We've been conditioned either by society, by people around us to think that we want something. And I've been in this trap before too, right? Moving overseas for me has given me a little bit of space and distance away from the norm, away from what I thought I wanted, what I could see was in my future. And sometimes just doing a really real check-in with yourself and saying, hey, this is a goal I've set for myself. Does this actually make sense for me right now? That piece is really, really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link another episode I did, which is about 6 mistakes you want to avoid when you're goal setting. Now, this whole mindset or approach is for that part where you're setting your goal. So it's before you even get to planning your 12 weeks out. But it's really important to make sure that what you're building out is really aligned for you. So that link is in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's up on the screen now. I'd highly recommend checking that one out. If you guys love this episode, I'd love to hear what your biggest aha moments were, or something you took away that was really valuable. Maybe you already use a 12-week plan. I'd love to just hear your thoughts around the topic, because as I said, this is something that has really, really changed the game for me. So drop comments below, share this with a friend who you know is also planning out their year and would really get a lot of value from learning about this and implementing this. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next episode.